All right, welcome everyone to another virtual a la carte training session. I appreciate your time. We're here joined with Chef Pete from Vulcan. Pete, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
My name is Pete Schellenbach. I'm the Culinary Specialist with Vulcan. And today I am working on the Vulcan VG30 braising pan.
So what are you going to be making for us today? What's on the menu?
Today I'm going to be doing some macaroni and cheese. I'm going to be doing it 3 different ways. I already have the water in the braising pan. And that brings me to one of the first of many features you're going to see in this video. But the first thing is I'm going to grab my Cool Touch handle, and if you'll notice, I can leave the lid in any position that I want, and it'll hold it there. Right now I'm going to close it the rest of the way to keep the heat in and help speed up the boiling process for the water. The 3 types of macaroni and cheese I'm going to make are just a basic macaroni and cheese that you might see in a school cafeteria. Then we're going to move up to sort of a catering or a large function use of macaroni and cheese, where we're going to do a station that has macaroni and cheese and then different add-ins so the guests can customize their macaroni and cheese. And then the last version I'm going to do is sort of a white tablecloth version that's going to be a lump crab Mornay mac and cheese.
Sounds really good. So I guess my other question is, all this equipment you can cook on, why did you decide to choose the braising pan to do the mac and cheese on?
Well, braising pans are extraordinarily useful pieces of hardware. They combine multiple functionalities into one piece of equipment. They have a full range of feature sets that make them perfect for large-scale production kitchens. They are high efficiency, high output, and so if you need large volumes of food quickly and consistently, a braising pan is a great way to go.
All right, sounds good. What about cleaning up? I mean, is it going to save any time there, or what? I guess tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Labor savings are critical, especially right now, post-COVID. And one of the nice things about a braising pan is that it is very, very easy to clean out. Because of the even heating surfaces, food tends not to scorch on a more even heating surface. This has 5/8 radius cove corner that allows for cleaning out to be a very simple and smooth process.
All right, great. Well, I'll let you get back to it, but we'll check in with you later.
Okay, thanks.
Vulcan offers 7 different types of optional faucets, so you can optimize your braising pan for your operation. These are great for both filling the pan and for cleaning.
I want to show you one of the other features of the VG30. If you watch when I lift the lid, you're going to see condensation running down the back of the lid. So as I lift it, you'll see these water drips coming down the lid. If you'll notice, there's a piece of metal here specifically directing that condensate back into the pan. I'm going to go ahead and add the pasta to my VG30. So my pasta is finished for my macaroni and cheese, and now I'm going to attach the strainer so that when I tilt the pan, the water's going to come out, but I can retain the pasta still in the pan, so I can put that into its own separate pan. I'm going to adjust the thermostat all the way down so that it won't turn back on, but I still have power to the machine, so I can use the tilt feature to dump out the water. You'll see it's a nice, smooth, slow motion so that things don't get out of control. You'll see the water start to come out, but the pasta will stay in. A little more tilt in, so keep it coming out. Because of the weight of the pan, we recommend using the electric tilt. Of course, there is a manual tilt option with a hand crank in the event that you lost power to the unit and needed to remove the food. But for safety and for ease of use, the electric tilt is definitely the way to go.
So Chef, how much pasta did you make today?
This was 10 pounds of dry pasta that we just cooked off. And if you'll look at the back of the pan, one other feature of the Vulcan VG30 is that there's the 30-gallon embossed measures here. So you know exactly how much product you're using or how much product you're producing. I want you to also see that above the 30-gallon mark, there's still some space, which is actually the usable space. Other braising pans are made with 30 gallons, but that 30 gallons is right up here at the lid, right up here at the rim. So you counting on the meniscus so you don't lose any product. Here we've actually got a usable 30 gallons, and that's an important feature.
And is there a preference between the strainer and the draw-off valve?
The draw-off valve is great for removing liquids from the pan. So the next thing we're going to do with the macaroni and cheese is we're going to remove the pasta from the pan. So I'm going to remove the strainer. All right, so now I'm going to use one of the other features of the VG30, which is our pan support. I'm going to reach down, lift this up, set a pan here, and that way when I tilt the braising pan, the product will get caught in the pan that I'm using.
Is this a standard feature or is this extra?
On other manufacturers, the thing like the pan support would be an extra charge, but it's a standard item on a Vulcan. Now as I bring the pan down into its lowest position, I can return the pan support back to its stowed position, which is really easy. I just lift up on the two sides and it drops down. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this pan. I'm going to remove all the starch that is left over from cooking the pasta. And then we're going to go in with and make a cheese sauce, and I'll be able to finish the mac and cheese that way. Okay, so to clean the VG30, it's very simple. I've got a mild soap and water solution and a soft nylon brush. I'm going to add some water and soap to the pan. I don't want to use anything that could scratch the finish. I don't want to damage the surface. But I can just use a nylon brush to remove any starches or any pasta that might have stuck. I'll get the sides. This is a great example of why we want to use the tangent draw when we are cleaning the machine. And the reason is that any food particles that might have gotten into the drain tube are now going to get washed out by the soapy water, and we'll be cleaning the tangent draw off at the same time we're cleaning the pan. So I'm going to open the tangent draw off valve, and then I'm going to put some tilt into the pan. This is the kind of thing that people forget to do all the time, is forget to clean the tangent draw off valve, which is why I like to make a habit of always using the tangent draw off when I'm cleaning out the braising pan. That way, if there's anything stuck in there, I'm going to get it taken care of right now. There it comes.
I just wanted to go a little more in depth on the draw-off valves that Vulcan offers. Our standard location is on the left side of the pan, and we offer different valve shapes, either straight or angled, to allow for your specific needs or the layout of your kitchen and its floor drains. Another great feature is the replaceable sealing disc. The sealing disc is a wear item. It's what seals the draw-off valve and prevents leaks. In the past, when that sealing disc wore out, the entire valve assembly would have to be replaced. But now, just the disc itself can be replaced. It comes with a 3-year warranty, and that saves a lot of hassle.
Now we're just pushing the product, or pushing the rest of the water into the pan. Close the valve. Lower the pan. And I'm just going to rinse it one time after that. Okay, so as I mentioned, I use the tangent draw-off valve to drain the detergent and the rinse water out through that way, so I make sure that I remove any food particles. But I want to show you how to actually clean the tangent draw-off valve so that you can make sure that it's completely cleaned out. So I'm going to unscrew this cuff, and I'm going to remove the entire valve. I'm going to use some soapy water and a brush. And I'm going to reach back inside, make sure I got all the areas that the soap didn't reach before, where the valve was. And then I'll pass some fresh water through there again to rinse that out. Now, where I am in the process of making the macaroni and cheese in the VG30, I've got the cheese sauce completed, and I'm gonna add in the pasta, stir that around, and then I'm gonna be ready to go to either to plate or to hotel pans to hold hot for line service. So I just have one more step here in the machine. One thing that I wanted to talk about before I did that was the versatility of this piece of hardware. I mean, today I'm using it for boiling water and for cooking pasta, making some cheese sauce, but the versatility of a braising pan, obviously braising is in its name, so it's great for doing braises, slow cooked, high moisture products. But the nice thing is that if you have just a small layer of oil in the bottom of it, you can do shallow frying. Obviously not recommended for deep frying, but definitely shallow frying is a great thing to do in it. You can do burgers. You could use it as a griddle, because that's essentially what it is. It's a griddle that has sides. And since it has sides, it will also hold liquids. So just absolutely one of my favorite pieces of hardware for any kitchen environment. So I'm gonna add the pasta back in. And now I'm going to use my nylon paddle to stir it. I'm using nylon rather than a stainless steel paddle so that I don't scratch the surface. We take great care when we're producing the braising pans. They go through a bead blasting process. Bead blasting makes the surface less sticky for product, but still you don't want to scratch it, you don't want to damage that surface. So I'm using nylon instead of stainless. I don't know if you can see as I draw the spatula through the pan, but you can see that I don't have sticking on the bottom of that pan, because like I said, I've got a nice even heat surface, and that evenness of heat is what helps with preventing the sticking. All right, now that my pasta is all mixed in and evenly coated, I'm gonna be able to use my pan support on the front of the VG30 and pour this pasta out into 2-inch hotel pans or 4-inch hotel pans. If you look how quickly the response time is when I'm using the electric tilt, it would obviously, that would be a big mess if I lost all this mac and cheese onto the floor. So the nice thing is when I touch it to tilt, it tilts. It's a nice, slow, even motion. And then when I need it to stop, if I wanted to stop right at the edge, I can stop it right at the edge. So now I'm going to be taking my finished macaroni and cheese, and I'm going to go into the VBP 15 holding cabinet. VBP 15 is a great way to hold large quantities of already cooked food at a safe holding temperature. It's an all steel construction, so it's incredibly durable, and all of the rack guides on the inside are adjustable. So if I have a very deep pan or a shallow pan, I can adjust. So I've got lots of configurations on the inside of the machine.
Some of the great features on our heated holding cabinets are that they're made of 100% stainless steel, both inside and out, to increase lifespan of the appliance. We also have a heat tunnel on the inside of the cabinet. That heat tunnel helps move the hot air around the inside of the cabinet for more even heat distribution, which means more precise holding temperatures everywhere inside the cabinet. Also, they have a top-mounted, easy-to-read digital temperature display so that you can always keep tabs on your food safety.
If I needed to at this point, I could reduce the heat, close the lid, and the VG30 would be a perfect holding environment. With the lid down, I'm going to retain moisture, so my product isn't going to dry out, but I'm keeping it at a nice even temperature to hold for service. Okay, so in our macaroni and cheese choose your own adventure in the action station environment, I would take a portion of macaroni and cheese and then ask the guests as they came through the line, what would you like? It could be something very, very simple with just a little bit of more cheese and maybe a little bit of greenery on top, but just a very simple version like this. We could ramp this up by adding some proteins in. I've got some grilled chicken here. We could top that with actually a little bit of bacon. And maybe just a little extra cheese, because why not? And then I've got some Old Bay shrimp. Not that there's anything light about macaroni and cheese, but we could do some tomatoes, lighten it up a little bit with some vegetables, and some greenery here. There's really no limit to what you could put onto this station. I think that this kind of macaroni and cheese bar is going to do well at a reception. So the last presentation of macaroni and cheese that we've made is a crab meat Mornay macaroni and cheese, a fine dining version of macaroni and cheese with Chesapeake Bay lump crab, Gruyere cheese, and then the macaroni and cheese as the base of that dish. I've got a little chive or a little green onion on top. We've seen school food service style macaroni and cheese. We've seen a catering or banqueting style, and now we've seen a fine dining version. And it shows the versatility. It's a very on-trend product, and showing you 3 different ways that we can serve macaroni and cheese.
I just want to summarize some of the features of our braising pan that we've looked at today. First, we've got the folding stand support, which allows for easy unloading of your product by holding a container in front of the pitcher pour lip, and then folds back out of the way, clearing the access in the aisleway. Coved corners. Those coved corners, that curve in the corner of the pan, allows for easier cleaning and, more importantly, allows for all of the product that you've cooked to be removed from the pan. All of our braising pans and kettles have embossed gallon and liter markings. Those markings are going to be there for the lifetime of the unit, and they really help in proper measurement so that your recipes always come out the same way. The front of our braising pan has the pitcher pour lip and pour lip strainer. What that means is that it's easier and more controlled when you are removing the product from your braising pan. We also have a very even heating cook plate. And what that means is that the food will come out better and more consistently because the heat is evenly distributed across the entire surface of the cook plate. No hot spots or cold spots, and it makes it easier to clean.